back, ladies and gentlemen. We're so sorry about that. There were some technical difficulties, but it looks like we have everything solved and we are ready to go. Yeah, I guess.
NA Aura just a little too strong.
NA Aura just too strong. Well, we're gonna have to see if that's true, but
It's
you know.
true. Hey, listen, remember we're up 2-0. We're up 2-0.
This guy. That's true. But you know, last thing
Hey.
I'm not sure what we were talking about before the connection went out.
TwitchCon tournament.
We're talking about TwitchCon tournament, and that was going to be the last time NA and EU got to fight against each other at the 2022 San Diego. And that was Divios, Flannels, Ronald J versus Zetanoob, Oikir, and Sax.
Yep.
And that went on to Game 5. That's right. That was like the last thing we were talking about. Divios had like an insane wraparound on the Runes of Soul map, and it was neck and neck. But at the final second, like some tearing arrow shot came from Flannels or something off to the side. Divios spiraled through, got a double KD, and it was like an instant, like
Crazy moment.
It was a crazy moment. You guys can, of course.
NA clutch factor, man.
It was
something
NA
EU
clutch.
doesn't have. Struggles with a little bit.
Well, we're gonna have
having
to.
so much fun today.
I hope people are splicing everything you say. So like, if they make a montage of EU winning in the future, they'll like put your sound. Someone's got to make that.
If it happens, it happens. I can say I wasn't in the tournament.
If it happens, it happens. Absolutely. Now, of course, if you guys do want to watch that TwitchCon San Diego VOD, it is still actually in our highlights on our Twitch page here, if you want to go ahead and check out the history of that. But yeah, different things are going to happen this year, of course. There's going to be different teams involved, and I am very excited to check it out. But before we get ahead of ourselves, earlier this week, we had a little event survey asking our players who you thought was going to win within the brackets leading up to it. And we actually do have the data available for the vote percentages, at least on the NA side. So let's go ahead and check that out real quick. Let's see. We had 9% of you voted for Vanguard, 8.6% of you voted for APM Maxers, 8.2% voted for Nuclear, 6.9% voted for Requiem, and 6.35 voted for Free Crons Please. And the thing is, I'm pretty sure the only one on this list who made it through the preliminary bracket was Requiem.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing about tournaments. You can have tournament favorites. I think a lot of people, especially even a lot of the teams competing, were expecting APM Maxers to be the hardest team for them to fight in the tourney, but they ended up getting knocked out early, along with a bunch of other teams. So things happen, but that's what makes tournaments exciting.
Of course, and one thing just to note for anyone who guessed correctly for this little survey, it would yield them 1,500 Cron Stones. While incorrect guesses, you'd still get something. It'd still be 500. But yeah, it looks like 6.97% was for Requiem here. Before we get ahead of ourselves as well, make sure you guys have your Black Desert accounts tied to your Twitch drops, because we do have drops today, which will include, but is not limited to, 50 magical shards and 500 Cron Stones as long as you watch up to 60 minutes.
I got it open on my phone. I'm ready to get some drops.
He has it open on his phone. I mean, I have it open up here too, of course, because you know I gotta get those Cron Stones.
I gotta get those Crons.
You gotta get those Crons. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, how are we feeling today? I'm excited. We have a lot of matches going on, and it should be a good time.
I'm definitely excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun matches to go on. I'm excited to just get hype, you know, casting some games, see some gameplay. Not, well, unfortunately, no ninjas today, you know, left in the tourney.
We stole the only one. We took him and brought him on the desk.
Listen, man, but we do have some Kuno, and I love watching a little bit of Kuno. And
That's right.
Yep, that is going to be a fun one to watch.
Wait for the Kuno. We have Vert on Kunoichi,
Vert on Kuno.
and I think he might be the only one in the remaining.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing. We actually had 4 Kunos or 3 Kunos that entered. A lot of them just ended up getting knocked out in some really tough matches, actually. But Vert's team
FOMO.
FOMO.
FOMO has the Calbuz on the.
Oh, true, but they didn't actually end up playing him, so we do have FOMO with Calb as well. I think I just forgot about him just because they didn't play him on his last match. They subbed him out, which I wasn't expecting as well.
Yeah. Usually when I see the subs, I'm like, they won't use them, you know. But you know what? Since we're talking about the teams anyways, why don't we go ahead and check out the brackets? Like we said yesterday, the preliminaries took place, and there was a lot of upsets. But remaining in the round of 8, who we're going to spectate today, is going to be PVPs versus CCB, Body Slammin' versus Silly Fellas, Joe Grimm, with a bunch of eyes, versus Requiem, and FOMO versus CPU.
Yeah, a lot of strong teams contending today. I definitely think I have a couple of favorites to win the whole thing, but
A couple of favorite means like you choose one. You can't have a couple of favorites.
well, you can have possibilities, split potential,
So that's what we're calling
For me, it's two specific ones, but I don't know if we're talking about all this yet. I believe we still have some other things to get to.
No, I mean, true. This is the brackets round of 8. Before we get into spectating the match, ladies and gentlemen, one last thing to run down. Let's check out the tournament format. Now, of course, this is going to be an Arena of Arsha format, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be taking place on the Arsha 3 gear set at 375 AP and 435 DP in a 3 versus 3 single elimination. Now, for the round of 8, it is going to be a best of 5 up until we get to the 3rd place match, as well as the finals, which will then turn into a best of 7. So, yeah, I mean, there's going to be – I'm definitely looking forward for those best-of-7 matches. It's very interesting to see how teams adapt. When you're in a best-of-3, it's a little bit hard to get your footing and get the groove on and get into a rhythm. Best-of-5, it gets a lot better. But with these best-of-7 matches, I expect a lot of back and forth, a lot of adjustments, and – a lot of mix-ups.
That's the thing is when it comes to these kind of, even like before the round of 8, we had a lot of first to 2s, the best of 3s. We saw a lot of the favorites for the tournament end up getting knocked out. As the tournament goes later and you get these more rounds, it definitely becomes a lot harder to say, let's say you're potentially the weaker team in that matchup to just end up winning it out. You might be able to win 2 rounds first compared to the other team. I believe we saw that on EU actually, with the grand finals on EU, and it ended up being a 2-1 start for the opposing team from Near Airport, but Near Airport ended up clinching it out in the best of 7 series and getting the win over that. So those best of 7s can be really tough, best of 5s as well, but it just makes it all the more exciting.
Absolutely.
You got to stay on top of your game for every single round.
Absolutely. Now, let's go ahead and move on to our rewards. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this is what we're looking forward to checking out. First place team. Actually, let's start with 4th place. 4th place gets 5,000 pearls. Glorious Arena of Arsha weapon for 30 days in a Glorious Arena of Arsha reward box. 3rd place gets 1,500 pearls in the 60-day Glorious Arsha weapon skin and 2 Arena of Arsha reward boxes. 2nd place gets 30,000 pearls, a 90-day Arsha weapon skin, and 3 of the Glorious Arena of Arsha reward boxes. Now, this is where the bulk of it is. The first place team gets 100,000 pearls, a permanent Glorious Arsha weapon skin, 10 Glorious Arena of Arsha reward boxes, the Arsha's Proof title, which there are several versions of it. The first one is Arsha's Proof. For the first one for blue. If you win one of these tournament formats a second time, you get Arsha's Acknowledgement, which is a yellow title. Arsha's Blessing is purple. Arsha's Honor is a beige color. And then the 5th version, which I've never seen anyone have, was the Arsha's Glory, which is a light reddish color. Now, of course, this is going to be the biggest thing our teams are competing for today. That's going to be the NA versus EU Showdown Championship entry as a reward. And what that's going to be is in July 25th, when the 2026 Heidel Ball takes place in the United States, by the way, teams from both
Home
EU
turf
and NA will be flown out here to compete in person in LAN with hotel and flight accommodations paid for by Pearl Abyss.
That is crazy. When I first saw this, I got so excited for the tournament to happen.
And then we were like, we got to give him a chance.
Let's
doing Garmin out of this tournament.
No dragon, no me, no belt holder. It is what it is.
No.
No, but on a more serious note, I mean, I am so excited just because we don't get this very often for video.
No.
This only ever happened. This is the 3rd time this has ever happened. So a LAN tournament, there's a lot at stake. There's a lot of nerves, a lot of bragging rights. We don't really have like anything crazy going on, but a lot of bragging rights on stake here. Sure.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and get right into things, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. The tournament of the decade, we'll call it, is about to commence. We have up here PVPs versus CCB. On PvP side, that's going to be Vert on the Awakening Kunoichi, Smoked, aka Liger, one of our creators as well, playing Seraph. Pinks on the Succession Maywa versus OXOXOXO. I'm not saying all those OXs, but he's going to be on the Awakening Lawn.
Uber is
Uber. No Gamble, No Loss on the Succession Nova, and definitely a bot on the Awakening Sage. Yeah, very fun stuff watching these teams compete. When I was watching yesterday in the preliminaries, that team on PvP's side, Armin, they had a really strong showing. It seemed like they had a good strategy, having Vert like hanging off to the sides but not too far away from his team, just ready to go for a pick potential, going for a grab. Smoke, always famously known for just going in and creating a ton of chaos and a lot of disruption, and I feel like Seraph encapsulates that kind of play style very well for him, especially Seraph having the strong grab. And then Pinks on the Succession Meiwa for damage support.
Yeah, I mean, this comp on PvP side is, you'd look at it and you think that it's nothing crazy, but it definitely is going to happen.
This is my my vote.
Let's get it going. So we're going to be starting off. The score is 0-0. Both teams did agree to it, so it seems like we want to have a little bit of an honorable matchup, and I respect it. I have big respect.
That is so. You know how crazy it is to like give up your one free win?
Yeah, that is some big respect. So, 2 minutes and 45, round is underway. Let's get it going. I got to do an extra round of casting. I got to love that. Got to love that. Early engage is going to be coming in. Impaling Flash trying to go back over onto Bot just in case onto Gamble in case the Selectnova is getting pressure. Trying to go for a little bit of CC right there off the shock relay into his flow. He's not going to manage to connect over on Bot side. Pink's just going for that range pressure, sitting in his divider right there, holding his Q block where he can. Needs to be afraid of that Impaling Flash. He can go through the Sage on that staircase and try to get behind the Meiwa on the Q block if he manages to catch him off guard. But it is a little tough. It is kind of a bit too far away if Pinks knows his spacing correctly. And this man, if there is any suck Meiwa that knows spacing correctly, it is Pinks. This guy is so solid at the game, has gone top 10 on multiple occasions, so he definitely knows how to make best use of his class. But we have 1 minute in. Absolutely no pressure has been given out yet. And again, this is the thing. This is the plan for CCP. They are okay with stalling the time because they know the time that the later this time goes, the lower the HP gets and the stronger their evos get. They can just win off of chip damage. They don't need to engage into. This is going to come down to CCP trying to engage into PvPs and getting potentially a catch. So 1 minute 45 seconds. Time is getting lower. Let's see what these guys can pull off. Red Moon trying to go over to definitely into Gamble's Q block. He's not going to manage to connect. Gamble coming back in with that long range dash, potentially going for a grab. Pinks is going to pre-space it. Vert, Tenon Cutter over on the side in the middle, waiting it out. Uber's going to be popping his E-buff over that Awakening Law now, and now that is going to be all the E-buffs out for Team CCP. PvPs hasn't even popped one, but they do manage to catch Pinks. Pinks getting caught off guard is going to be forced to V, and Uber didn't even manage to pop DPS off there, but with Liger and Vert combined, or sorry, with the rest of their team combined right there, the damage was just going to be enough. Gamble as well is going to end up being, it looks like a grab and end up connecting onto him there. Pinks just playing on that range. It seems like we are saying a little bit over on the sidelines, but I want to say get into the grit of the action. You're going to CC. It's going to be a grab on the ground. Smoked. Liger. It's going to be a 3-man V over on the PvP side. And the connection, they did end up losing Gamble for it, though. Unfortunately, it looks like Gamble ended up greeting for damage potentially, but they did force out some Vs. So 2v3. Vs both available on CCP side, but the clock is ticking low. We were in this exact same situation last round. However, this time they do have some more Vs available, or sorry, at least Vs gone. So maybe they can still pull it off. Definitely about trying to engage in with that Impaling Flash. Vert's going to be kind of challenging back over with the Flash Slash, going over to the middle of the field. Divine Execution is going to connect on to Pink, so he's going to manage to get that slow going in. Impaling Flash trying to go for the grab over on the Liger, but he's going to manage to disengage on that Seraph. Shock Relay! Oh, did he get the CC? No, he didn't. It looked like he almost got the Siphon over on the Vert. And waiting back, he's going to go for an upsurge, just going straight into that Lightning Prison, go for a little bit of chip damage. But guys, we only have 20 seconds left. If you don't get a connection here on the PvP soon, you're going to end up losing. Definitely Bot is desperate. He's trying to go for any play he can. Vert going for the counter pressure off the Tenon Coder, goes in the Shadow Stomp, disengaging with that Dance Macabre. 10 seconds left. Uber, can you get a grab off for anything? Vert trying to space away. Tenon Coder, he's out of the fight. They're going to be going on to a different target, maybe trying to go for Pinks over on the backside on the opposite gate. We can't see, but it looks like they didn't manage to connect onto him. It's going to be a 1-0, and it's going to be 1 to PvPs.
Whew, that was looking a little dicey there. I thought PvPs was about to be taken out when they got that catch off to Liger over on blue side, but they ended up losing no gamble, no loss there in the middle of all the chaos. Not really sure what happened during that, but yeah, very strong showing from PvPs. Yeah, CC says CCP, but I think it's CCB. It's really tough for them. I think they kind of have an idea on what they have to do. They have to somehow try and pick someone off and focus them down, but it's just really hard in a team composition like this that's able to spread out and have strong skirmish power.
Yeah, and now going into the second round, you know, this is the thing. Every team comp is built for a different strategy. CCP, their team comp is built around you have to come into us, and you have to try to win a little bit of a kind of turtle shell situation, you might call it. But the PvP side, their comp is built around also just playing you out, laming you out. And if you TCP, you know, it's kind of a counter-strike, if anything, to their situation. PvP's comp is just really good here, and they're going to get a CC onto Uber. Uber actually ended up standing up. No, he did end up being anyways, and Bot's going to get caught as well. Gamble in the middle of the wall.
Basically,
He's going to manage to get that plus DP, but he's back against the wall. Two pressuring him. Are Uber and Bot going to manage to come in and save him in time? He's down to 20%. It looks like Pinks and Vert are still both chipping up way too hard. No, there's going to be a disengage. Vert, couple of soldiers can get the RCC. Bot's going to try to go in and get it. They do manage to. It's going to be a float, though, so he is going to manage to stand up 50%. You can barely see that on the side of your screen, but Vert did manage to stand up just luckily. That's the thing. That's when you fight Seknova, you cannot S-block these soldiers randomly. ChatGPT will just catch you off guard. You have to be careful. And 1 minute 45. 2 V's gone from CCP. This is dire situation right here. Can they pull it back? They are managing to get V's out from PVPs, at least in the last round, but they can just never finish the job. 1 minute 30. Pink's going for the nado from the long range. This had a really long range flow. You have a fight, lightning prison going on. Trying to go for the float right there. Fast engage coming out from bot over it, trying to connect on the Pinks. Is not going to manage to connect. Once again, the nado coming out. Campbell playing over behind the pillar. Soldiers, he's just spamming them where he can, just in case any kind of engage comes in. Those soldiers have a float attached to them, so you can immediately catch someone. Liger sitting in the middle, just going to be dashing around. Connection onto Pinks. Pinks is going to be forced to V. Not too sure how he got caught. Maybe went for a stub arrow and got caught by the shock relay, but it is going to be a V out now from PvPs, and with 1 minute left, Gamble's on the ground! Caught! Bot got caught as well! Oh no! Gamble forced to V. Uber 10% HP, dies to chip. It's Gamble against the world, and it's going to be over. 2-0 PvPs. We got 1 round to go. Is this going to be a 3-0 to start the tourney?
Definitely looking very tough, but PvP's really showing up with some good follow-up. Like I said from the start, these guys are just so coordinated. They're playing very patient as well. Even in those situations where in the previous first round, you notice how there was 3 of them alive on CCB side was 2, and instead of greeting and playing overly aggressive, they were like, wait a minute, we have the advantage right here. They have to push into us. So it looks like they're just really on their A game today.
And for people asking if it's 3-0, the match did reset, and they decided, Vert's team as well, they both mutually agreed. Oh, early connection on the Pinks. It looks like they're going to try to force a V. They do manage to engage aggression from bot. They're changing up the game plan. They want to go all the way straight into the... I was going to say something. I was like, I can't say that. All right. They're going to be going full aggression right here. So bot's going to disengage now. And now with that V, now they're going to be set up in the midfield. I think this is the position that CCP needs to take. They need to play the mid. They need to kind of square off or maybe potentially even separate out PvPs if possible. That way, they can go for any target at any possible time. Where they're putting their backs to a corner, they definitely cannot get the space that they want. It is going to be a catch in onto Gamble using that tendon cutter, following up in the crescent slash, but he did not manage to get any kind of KD. That is one thing about Sakuna. No KD available, but Uber's going to be the one put on the ground. No, he did manage to stand up. No, he's just going to be popping his V right there. Gamble tried to go for a grab peel. A little bit of a greedy grab peel. It was an instant punish coming out from Liger over onto Gamble, forcing out his V. Vert's going to be playing self in the middle. Looks like he wants to go for a play on the ball. He's going to connect! Tendon cutter! There's a stop. Do they have the damage? So his team's a little bit late. Vert's going to get grabbed as a result. He had to greed for the damage, and V forced out. Great play from Vert, but his team is not on the same page, and Bot gets away scot-free. Great peel from Uber. 1 minute 40 seconds now going into this third round. Who is going to win? Can CCP clutch it back? Pink's going to be popping that Tiger Blade. If you guys don't know, Maywa Tiger Blade, when you pop it, you come out and get a buff. Great grab! It's going to be Uber on the ground. Liger with the solo blade. No view available as his team there to peel the down smash. Bone crush it to connect with it. Great play from Liger, and it may just be the game-winning play for PvPs. Is going to be singing that Shadow Explosion, trying to get a little bit of SA out. Bot needs to make any kind of play he can now. He's lived for all 3 rounds, but he hasn't been able to make the game-winning play. Is it going to be this time? But Gamble is dead. He gets 2 on the ground. He's trying to go for the damage combo. He doesn't have enough. Pigs with no V stands up at 10%. Impaling Flash trying to go for a connection. 1 minute left. The grab is there. Bot still has his V, though. This is his last chance, his last breath.
I fear that was his one chance to get a catch.
Coming in. He gets grabbed. It's over. PvP's 3-0, knocking out Team Family.
Woo, what a good first match so
Crazy
far.
first match.
That was crazy. No, PvP is, like we said, showing up strong, has good in coordination. Some things I noticed from the CCB side, just some very ambitious grabs, I noticed. Grabs were in the middle of all that chaos might be way too risky to go for, and I feel like those little things kind of add up over time. Definitely not a bot. Definitely not a bot, by the way. He was doing a good job staying alive every single time.
Rounds, he was the last one alive.
And in that final one where Gamble went down, he almost got at least one took one person with him.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it did result in a loss. But hey, what a good way to start off the evening. Let's go ahead and check out that bracket update now and see how things are turning out. PvPs is now moving up to semifinals. Bye.